evening to you all. Tonight, business in India under a very bright and painful spotlight. Is the second fastest growing economy in the world choking in corruption, or do millions of businessmen, traders and corporations still manage to obey the law? I'm the outsider and this is our motion. There is no honest business in India. A few moments ago, we took a vote from our audience here in Mumbai. We'll take another one after the debate and then compare the two and see if we've managed to change your mind on this vital issue. Well, two of our panelists believe there's no honest business in India. They are Manjeet Kripalani, Executive Director at Gateway House, the Indian Council on Global Relations, and Satish Manishinde, who came to Mumbai as a penniless law graduate in 1993 and rose to become a top criminal lawyer. Now, those who take the opposite view, that Indian business can and does operate legally, are Captain Gopinath, a pioneer of low-cost air travel in India, and the founder of Air Deccan, and Rajeev Chandrasekhar, independent member of Parliament, the Rajya Sabha, businessman and founder of a charitable trust that assists poor children in getting primary education. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our panel. I'm now going to ask Manjeet Kripalani to speak for 2 minutes in favor of the motion, please.
Yes, I am in favor of the motion that you cannot do any honest business in India. 2 points. We are an over-regulated country. Too many regulations, permissions, reporting requirements to start a business, and it cuts across several departments. In addition, it cuts across the center, the state, the village council or the panchayat, municipal corporations. It takes so long that there's an opportunity cost for business. So people jump the queue. The World Bank says that India rates 166th out of 183 countries in the ease of doing business. The second point is, instead of creating an environment of transparency and accountability for entrepreneurs, our politicians are becoming our new businessmen. They are our new Maharajas. They're big businessmen. They've captured our commons and acquired monopolistic licenses to mining rights, SEZs, land acquisition, rights to water. Anyone who wants to get into this business, this is the new business build out for India's infrastructure, anyone who wants to get in can't. They have to either co-opt the politicians or they have to make them partners, which is undesirable and unreliable.
Okay, Manjeet Kripalani, thank you very much indeed. You say there's no honest business in India. You're saying this not because you have evidence of it, but because you think it must be true.
Well, there is no reason why every Indian businessman has to set up an embassy in Delhi. The fastest growing route or biggest route, airline route is Bombay-Delhi. Businessmen are going to Delhi all the time to beg for favors. They go to the government like mendicants because the government will only give them
But you are speaking in very general terms about Infosys, Wipro, the IT industry. They all corrupt as well?
Well, the Infosys and the IT business began out of the glare of government. But what has happened now with them...
So it's government who's corrupting everybody?
It is the politicians, there is part of the bureaucracy, and the businessmen also play a role. Many of them, as I said, the politicians have become the businessmen, and now many businessmen, in order to ease their business, sometimes get into politics too.
But the government is trying to ease the ways of setting up a business. You have the Commerce Ministry now who's setting up a website where all the 57 permissions needed to start a business are going to be available online, and therefore get rid of one of the main avenues of corruption.
Well, we'd love to see that. In the income tax department, in order to get your money back, it's all online, but somebody in the department has to go and press that button.
Yeah, but it's a start, isn't it? Look what they did with the stock exchanges, the National Stock Exchange. They cleaned up the National Stock Exchange. They cleaned up the Bombay Stock Exchange. Used to be referred to as a den of thieves, didn't it?
Maybe, but it's a private operation. It's not a government operation.
Yeah, but they still have to regulate it, don't you? I mean, last April, the Securities and Exchange Board reviewed the ownership and governance of market infrastructure institutions, put the functions of the stock market under new scrutiny.
Well, in some ways then it is a good example. They have a lot of transparency. It's been computerized.
So there is some honest business going on there. In the stock exchanges and some of the big companies.
The stock exchanges aren't necessarily honest. It's a gambling den.
They're not necessarily corrupt either, are they?
Well, if we're talking about the stock exchange as an entity, well, they've been cleaned up because of transparency. But the participants in the stock market...
Whatever did it...
The participants in the stock market, they make the stock market what it is, are certainly not straight.
Manjeet Kripalani, thank you very much indeed. Now could I please ask Captain Gopinath to speak against the motion for 2 minutes, please.
I think to say there is rampant corruption or widespread corruption is not the same thing as saying there can be no honest business in India, which means there cannot be ever an honest business. I think there are two different things. Obviously, there is corruption. There is widespread corruption. And I remember, reading an essay in Emerson very recently, where he talked in 1850s, the same kind of things that we are talking about today, that everything, business is bordering on theft and fraud. Young people are disenchanted. So what I'm trying to say is that there is this kind of positioning here where businessmen are different from the politicians, and the politicians are corrupt and the businessmen are the victims. I think the businessmen themselves are beneficiaries and perpetrators. And so if you make up your mind not to pay, and if you have the determination not to pay, and if you're ready to suffer for that, if you're ready to wait it out, it is possible to do honest business in India. But more often than not, many of us, we compromise because we want to get a license faster. We compromise because we do not want the other guy to get a license. We also compromise because we have violated the rules ourselves and we want to take a shortcut. I just want to give my own personal example. It took me 3 years to get my first license for the helicopter business. And we all know that there is, huge corruption for getting a license in the aviation industry. But I kept going. It took me 3 years to get a simple scrap of paper saying that, the government has no objection for you to start a helicopter company.
Thank you, Captain Gopinath. What's so special about you? When most of Indian business, you yourself are saying, most of Indian business is corrupt, or there's widespread corruption. Why did you determine not to go along with it and others do?
First,
the opposite view.
The first thing was that I really felt very strongly about bribing. I was very passionate about my business on the one hand, and on the other hand I was very, very driven by this fact that I will never pay.
But this is your personal experience. Where is this honest business that you're talking about? You say honest business. That's what I'm trying to say. You say honest business does exist in India. Where?
Honest business will exist if you also want to be honest.
But where is it?
Most of us.
You know business very well. Where is it? Where is this honest business in India?
Yeah, you took the name of Mr. Narayan Murthy. I don't think he is bribed. I don't think he is bribed.
One company. Any other companies or sectors?
And
I mean, you know business intimately. You've dealt with all sorts of people.
Definitely. Even I have compromised at a later stage.
You've compromised.
I have compromised. But what I'm trying to say is, it was because
you got involved in corruption.
In a sense that I did something. Yeah,
which you regret. It was corrupt.
I regret. It was under pressure. But what I'm trying to say is that.
No, what I'm asking you, did you engage in corruption?
I engaged in corruption of a kind. Yes.
For which you could pay a fine or go to jail.
But I know that if I had held on like the first time, I'd have still got it. It is just that sometimes you compromise. So it's nothing to do with blaming the government.
The system broke you in the end. The system broke you.
It didn't break me. It was more that probably I said I compromised because I wanted something done a little faster.
Which is what most of Indian business is.
So it's different. It's different than saying you can't have honest business in India. It's possible. Okay. So that means you're blaming the system rather than blaming yourself.
All right, Captain Gopinath, thank you very much indeed. Now could I please ask Satish Manishinde to speak for the motion?
The rise in the number of cases that we see coming to court, it can happen only if businessmen are corrupt. Time in and again, just now we see the 2G case where 133 licenses were cancelled. We see the Satyam case. These are all, a few cases which come to court. And I think that unless the entire system is overhauled, it's a fact that the Commerce Ministry has put up on its website 57 licenses which can be obtained online. But these can be only